Hello folks, welcome to my YouTube channel, Watercolor Impressions. This week we are going to learn how to paint a lighthouse, and this lighthouse is from Point Ochre, which is in Quebec, Rimouski. Before you go, hit the subscribe button so you guys can get weekly video updates from our channel. And let's get started, guys. I'll express the process of drawing, and I'll give the reference. You can go and check my website to download it, and I also have a link in my description as well. So let's throw down our first wash. When coming to the first wash, I'm using a little bit of white paint and a little bit of cerulean blue in my wash, and I'm also using a little bit of orange in it to create some warmth in it. But when I'm introducing it, I'm making sure this is really subtle, and you also have mere seconds to do it. So you have to do as fast as you can, so that it gives us happy accidents where you can't like replicate it with millions of strokes or thousands of strokes you're doing in watercolors. So the one thing I realized nowadays in my work is, or also beginners, one thing they do is they tend to make the clouds a little bit stronger. In reality, clouds are the lightest value if you squint your eyes, unless it's a stormy clouds. And the things which are upright are in darker value. So that's how reality works. That's how lighting and shadow works. So I'm trying to break up the clouds a little bit better, and you can see when I was trying to fiddling the clouds near the lighthouse at the top, I should have combined it together. So if you're following this tutorial, try to combine it where there's a glass on near the red part. And I couldn't get away with the clouds, so I'm trying to fiddle with it to get like really good shapes of the clouds. So now I jumped onto the lighthouse. So this is the first wash. So I'm putting a cadmium red on it, and this is just to see where everything goes. Now, this is not the final. This is not the final thing I'm going to paint. And I also have this red, so I'm going to be putting it on all other roofs and wherever I see red colors in my reference. And this lighthouse is a little bit complicated because it has a really quite really strong shape. It looks like a shape. I'm thinking as a shape when I'm painting it, but like if you see the reference closer, there is a lot of grooves and holes in it. So when you do a first wash, don't worry about what colors you're putting down, and put on a color close to it and on also a lighter value. So what I mean by that, your wash have to be lighter than what's in our reference, because if you put a darker value, we can create depth and distance in our painting. And this is one of the thing comes by experience, and I believe that every artist, it's a lifelong journey to learn to paint and seeing the value as it is, and it takes a lot. So on the grass patch, so even though the grass patch, what I'm putting down, it looks like a darker value, but watercolor tends to dry out and it goes down on the value a little bit down. So I'm trying to make it up and making it a little bit stronger. And I'm also implementing wet on wet technique. Before it dries out, I put a darker value wherever the grass patch sits. So this also helps to the grass patch anchoring on the ground as well as the objects which is sitting on it. I'll be doing the exact same thing on the right hand side as well. So I'm adding the grass patch just to create this S-curve, so that will take us and use as a lead in to take us into our painting. And this is the road, the parking lot of what I'm painting, and you can see in the parking lot there is also a grass patch which is sitting on it. So what I will do is I'll try to put a green wash on top of it and let it blend, and at the end I'll go and fix it and add a little bit of value on it. So now I'll focus on the road. It's the same exact. So I'll take a wash, and for this wash I'm using a little bit of neutral tint and Cobalt Turquoise, if you don't believe, and you can also use Cerulean Blue in it, and there's a little bit of warmth in it. You can also add yellow ochre in as well. So whenever you put down colors, so what I'm doing here now is I put my watercolor paper on cardboard. So whenever there's watercolor settles at the bottom, I'll just flip it so the water goes on the other side. So now I did glazed over of another wash on top of my lighthouse, and this is the third wash I'm adding. So I put a darker value, and before it dries out, and I'll use a wash and bring it all the way to the bottom. So this is what watercolor is beautiful for, to create that transitioning with the darker areas with the smoother transition. And this technique, if you know this technique, you can create any varieties of paintings using just using this one technique. So I'll do the exact same thing on the right hand side as well. So I'll bring it all the way till the down. So now what I will do is I'll go and add the details on the houses, the hut, which is at the bottom of the lighthouse. Even though it is sitting on exactly on top of the lighthouse, I moved it so that it kind of gives a composition element. Now I'm adding the shadow underneath the lighthouse, and I'm also glazing over to create that form of roundness in my lighthouse. So one other thing, when you paint, and any painting you do, you have to think about what's your hero object. So if I'm thinking the lighthouse is the hero object, you have to put a lot of details on the lighthouse than anywhere else in your painting, so that you don't have to worry about other stuff in your painting to put each and every details on it. Being said that, you can't leave the painting unfinished as well. And you can see as soon as we added those grooves on the top, on the shadows, it come to life. So I didn't like the it kind of dried out a bit, so I want to create a little bit of depth and a little bit of forms in my lighthouse, since I said it is a major element in our scene, and it's the largest object as well. So it's the same thing what I did before. I put a darker groove at the top, and before it dries out, I use a wash and bring it all the way to down. The one thing I didn't like about doing this is I like to paint in a quick, confident way, not to dab each and every stroke. I didn't like it, but still I have to get the shape as much as I can. And I did the exact, I'll do another wash on the road, and before it dries out, I put the shadow on it. So now I'm trying to add details on the top of the lighthouse, and trying to get some little bit of straight lines on the top. So I used a credit card to do that. And be careful when you use putting lines using that, because sometimes it might dab it on your watercolor paper as well. So there's also a signal station at the back of the lighthouse, which is literally intersecting on it, but I moved it on the right hand side so that it kind of creates that big, medium and smaller shapes in our scene, and keep it really simple. So now I'm using white paint to bring up some of the highlights of what I've missed, and you can see I'm also adding a lot of details on my lighthouse that anywhere else in my painting. It rather came out nice, and now it's your turn. Take my reference, and let's see what you can come up with following this tutorial. And if you have your own reference, and use the techniques what I've showed you, and if you want to see the entire process without my voiceover, check the video in the description as well. Thanks again for watching this lighthouse painting tutorial. Please feel free to share your thoughts on the video in the comment section below. If you have any other topics related to watercolors that you would like me to cover, please reach out to me at watercolorimpressions@gmail.com or leave a comment down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for weekly uploads, and share it with your fellow artists, friends and family. And good luck with your painting, folks.